So you can all be muted and can be said along with the shlokas. Karpanya puchamataam dharma sammudacheta yashreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत्र न ह्यति न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयात् अजो नित्यशाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते एवं परम्परा प्राप्तम् इमं राजऋषयो विदुः सकाले नेह माता योगो नष्टपरन्तप परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवयोपदीक्षन्ते ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनये एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः So, the Krishna summarizes the shloka, means the instruction for karma yoga in this shloka. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasyaadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvara. This is how Nishkam Karma Yoga has to be practiced. Surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me without desires for profit, with no claims for proprietorship, and free from lethargy and fight. Then Krishna tells that those who have faith in this and who try to follow this, they'll eventually become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. But those who lack faith in this, they will become bereft of knowledge, be fooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So these two things. So those who are perfected in Nishkam Karma Yoga, they should still set example by continuing to do prescribed duties with detachment. So that, and the other, those who are performing Sakama Karma Yoga, or who are practicing, who are trying to practice but who are not perfected Nishkam Karma Yoga, they get inspiration, guidance, etc. And they will not prematurely renounce their prescribed duties, or they will not get into sinful life, or all these things. So this is, therefore they should set example, and they should not prematurely make Sakama Karmis renounce work. So the Sakama Karmis also do prescribed duties, but with material desires. So let them do it that way, but let them stick to doing prescribed duties so that they will slowly get purified. Then what a practicing Nishkama Karma Yogi means, he has not perfected his, he's trying to do his prescribed duties without fruitive mentality, but still there are some challenges. And so what he should have faith and respect for performing Nishkam Karma Yoga. He should have that as the goal, performing Nishkam Karma Yoga. And he should have knowledge of the Sankhya and the importance of Nishkam Karma Yoga, etc. And he should not have any aversion to instructions on renunciation, detachment, renouncing the fruits of action. There should not be any aversion. So then he will attain success. So this is what summary of what we studied till the last few shlokas. Then the same concept can also be used in devotional service, like an advanced devotee. He should still set example of doing Vaidhi Bhakti. And he should maturely instruct junior devotees. Means he should not tell them suddenly to renounce everything and take to full-time devotional service, etc. He should have, sometimes he may give inspiration of that, but he should also tell them the importance of doing their responsibilities, etc. So junior devotees, they should, or practicing sadhakas, and should maturely instruct sadhaka devotees can be good. Yes. The sadhaka devotees, they should not have any aversion to higher instructions. Higher instructions, you must have come across this, no? The forest of material enjoyment. There is a chapter in fifth canto of Bhagavatam. So where there is very detailed criticism of materialistic life, materialistic relatives, materialistic family, materialistic occupations, and all. So one should understand what they are saying is correct. But yeah, I am not at that level to take that practice immediately. So one should see how one can go towards that and all. Sometimes there may be instructions about charity. You should give up everything in Krishna, for Krishna only. You should not keep anything for oneself. Or work. Sometimes some devotees may inspire, should all take full-time service in ISKCON, and whatever is comes, then with that one should maintain oneself, should not work outside and for money, etc. So they are good ideals, but we may not be in a position to immediately follow it. So at least one should respect them as ideals, at the right ideals. That way. Otherwise, if sometimes my emotion aversion, no, it's not needed. That no, we need not do full time devotional service. No, we can also engage in the material world, do materialistic things, and then also that is also sufficient. Like that, also one can go back to Godhead and all. So that kind of things one should not have. So they are like having aversion to these instructions. So that is not a healthy attitude. Okay, so today who will want to read? Okay, yes, thank you. You can repeat after me. Sadrusham chestate swasya prakrutirjnanavaanapi
सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्य प्रकृते ज्ञानवानपि
prakritim yanti bhutani nigrahah kim karishyati.
प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति.
So in the previous sloka, what Krishna is telling, that some people will not want to obey this instruction of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Means they reject and they consider Sakam Karma only as the ultimate thing. So Krishna saying some people are like that because they have acquired that nature, and even if we punish them also, they will still continue to do like that. So the translation, even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? So Acharyas give some conversation, like Arjuna is asking if there is punishment for not following, will it help? If somebody is just following Sakama Karma and is not even ready to take any inspiration or no about Nishkam Karma and all. So Arjuna is saying, like, if we punish them, then will they change and will they think about also graduating to Nishkam Karma? So Krishna is saying, yeah, let's see. So Krishna is saying, Nigraha Kim Karishyati. Krishna is not recommending repression because Yeah, one should awaken detachment based on knowledge and realization. So Krishna is saying, no, we should not force somebody to perform Nishkam Karma. They should gradually realize it based on knowledge. And he's saying, actually, there will be people like this because the senses, the attraction to sense and sense objects are very strong. Jnana, even scriptural knowledge alone will not suffice. Yeah. So even to a man of knowledge also it can happen. And sometimes they may slip to sakama karma while trying to practice nishkam karma. They may sometimes succumb to sakama karma. So here our acharyas say, yeah, knowledge is not just sufficient, but one should be taking guidance from a guru. So that will be elaborately explained in the fourth chapter. But our acharyas give the inner intent of Krishna, what he's saying. Yes, bro, you can read the highlighted portion.
Uh, Diksha. Yeah. Therefore, ever for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in the science but inwardly or privately are completely under particular mode of nature which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage.
So it is easy, like it is easy means it takes some little renunciation to adopt the practices of spirituality externally. There may be cultural upbringing like that and all, but still there will be conditionings within the heart where one has material attachments, attachment to wealth, that maybe attachment even to opposite sex, all these things. So that is possible. Yes, you can continue.
Krishna conscious help one to get out the material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties in terms of material existence. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus, one may be freed from the clutches of Krishna's Maya.
Yeah. So one should be conscious of this fact that even while performing prescribed duties, one will have these temptations of how means temptations to enjoy the fruits of prescribed duties. So that temptation will be there. So therefore, one should not prematurely renounce the prescribed duties. But while doing prescribed duties, one should see how one can get more purified. Hmm? So that is like one should cultivate knowledge, but along with cultivating knowledge, one should also have guidance on how one should apply that knowledge, etc. Yeah. Indriyasya indris Indriya Indriyasyaarthe ragadvesha vyavastito
इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषो व्यवस्थितो
tayorna vasham agachet tauhi asya paripantino.
तर्यो न वशम् आगच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनो.
There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the sense and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self realization. So that's what, like prescribed duties involve engagement with sense objects, and senses and sense objects, they are very intricately connected. So there is always a danger of succumbing to the temptation of enjoying sense objects while performing prescribed duties. So therefore, one should have very clear goal of why one is performing the prescribed duties. So so that one should always remind oneself and get more purification, so that one will always be focused uh, in the proper purpose while performing prescribed duties. A purport actually explains the purport with an example. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulation of revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is a cause of material engagement, but one who follows the rules and regulation of revealed scripture does not become entangled by the sense object. For example, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned soul, and sex enjoyment is allowed under the license of marriage ties. According to the scriptural injunctions, one is forbidden to engage in sex relationship with any woman other than one's wife. All other women are to be considered as one's mother, but in spirit of such injunctions, man is still inclined to have sex relationship with other women. These propensities are to be curbed. Otherwise, they will be stumbling blocks on the path of self realization.
Yeah. So, yeah, naturally. So here, Prabhupada is saying those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant. So one of the symptoms of being Krishna conscious is there is some natural reluctance to engage in material sense gratification. Therefore, yeah, so sense engaging with sense enjoyment, it should never be unrestricted. Always there should be restrictions. So unless as long as there are restrictions on our sense enjoyment, even if it is maybe taking palatable foods, earning money or whatever, all this, there is chance of purification. Otherwise, there is no chance of purification. The Prabhupada is giving the example of married life. So even though one is following the principles of married life, still there will be this temptation. If you see the facts also, means it's not just those who are youth who are unmarried, they only have this temptation, sex temptation, or only they watch pornography, and those who are married they don't. It's not like that. They also face considerably challenges. So even somebody may be a devotee also, there are cases and all. There are devotees who speak on that how they also can control and all. So it's not like that. So one should be also very careful. Prabhupada will explain it further. What should we do? Yes, Prabhu, you can read as long as the
Yes. As long as the material body is there, the necessities of the material body are allowed, but under rules and regulation. And yet we should not rely upon the control of such allowance. One has to follow those rules and regulation unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulation may also lead one to
go astray.
as- astray. As much as there is always the chance of an accident even on the royal road. Although they may be very careful, maintain, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even to be safest road. The sense enjoyment spirit has been current a very long time, owning to material association. Therefore, in spirit of regulation sense enjoyment, there is every chance of falling down.
Yeah. Therefore,
Yeah. Therefore, any attachment of regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness, or acting always in loving service of Krishna, detach one from all kinds of sensory activity. Therefore, one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of
no
detachment
one
from
should try. Okay.
Oh, sorry, no one should try to detach from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately become situated on the platform of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So in Karma Yoga, what happens is one follows these principles and all, but still, uh, They try to contemplate on the transcendental knowledge and all, but still it takes a good amount of time because there is no element of mercy. So they should they should have clear understanding that they should slowly renounce this engagement with sense objects, so gradually. So that is important for them. Otherwise, that's what Prabhupada is saying, that so yet we should not rely upon the control of such allowances. So it is better, there is always chance of an accident even on the royal roads. So therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must be avoided by all means. So one should understand gradually, one should reduce these things. The body also may, that enjoyment also, the enjoyment and the sex enjoyment, as body also ages, those desires also will reduce, but one should also constantly keep some conscious effort to do that. It's not like, okay, I'm I'm married, so I will not have that temptation. It will not happen to me. It's not like that. So one should be always make a conscious effort to reduce those temptations, and to reduce the, to become more purified. So because there is always chance of an accident even on the royal roads. So means that is in karma yoga, it is more challenging because the mercy of the Lord is not involved, but in Krishna consciousness it is more easy because the mercy of Lord is available and the purification will be more faster. So those challenges will be slow, easy to deal with. Yeah. Yes, bro. Okay, let me read. Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat swanushtitat.
श्रेयन्न स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मास्वनुतिष्ठात्
स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेय परधर्मो भयावह.
स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावह.
Yeah. So now Arjuna may say, okay, now prescribed duties also, there are some temptations, one may fall down. So why to perform prescribed duties? But Krishna is saying, no, do prescribed duties only. Even if there are challenges, you should only do prescribed duties. So even in fighting, you may get attached to your relatives, or you may have those challenges. So you have to continue doing your prescribed duties and should learn how to deal with those challenges instead of trying to renounce prescribed duties. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Atma. So yeah, you can have two types of duties. One is prescribed duties based on Shastra. Another is some concocted duties which are not according to Shastra. So if one does prescribed duties, there is purification. And everyone does prescribed duties as per their own nature. So then there will be harmony in society. But if one does concocted duties, then they will incur sin and they will not get internally purified, and it causes disturbance to society. So in the case of Arjuna, if he fights as a dutiful Kshatriya, then he will be purified and he is doing his duty, so others also will do his duty. So he will inspire Brahmanas to do their duties. He will also inspire Vaishyas to do their duties properly. And as a Kshatriya, he will facilitate them. So there will be harmony in society. But if he renounces his duty of Kshatriya, he will incur sin because he is not following Shastra, and he will create disturbance in society. He renounces fighting and becomes a sadhu. So and then somebody else also, if they find their duties are, there are some challenges while executing their duties. So then they will also renounce. So in that way, the society will get disturbed. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
One should therefore discharge his prescribed duty in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoyed according to one's psychological condition,
Psychophysical condition.
psychophysical condition, under the spell of the moods of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick in his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate others another's prescribed duties.
Okay, just yes, Shrikant, bro, you have some question?
Yes, Prabhu. Like earlier, it was clear like who is a Brahmana has some prescribed duties,
Hmm.
Kshatriya has a prescribed duty. Like for us, like in today's world, we don't have that clear distinction of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Shudra. And so, do we consider one is we are Grihasthas, we have some prescribed duties,
Hmm.
and other is our occupation. Should we consider that to be our prescribed duty or something else?
Yeah, means see, one thing is that Chaturvarna Maya system, so that is there. Even as a grihastha, also one has to be engaged, preferably engaged as per their varna. Otherwise, what may happen? So there will be some inherent dissatisfaction, and that dissatisfaction, yeah, uh, if it gets nullified by Krishna consciousness, taste, and all, that is okay. Otherwise, one may again go to sense gratification or something else. So that may be possible. That can happen. So that one has to see through introspection and observation of others. That is it.
Thank you.
So that will help.
I like to share one point here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, as per Prabhupada, in Kali Yuga, no one follows the Garbhadharan Sanskar.
Mm-hmm.
So, as per Prabhupada's terms, everybody is Shudra. Then, how can we follow the prescribed duties? All are Shudras only.
Yeah, so see, that is not as per Varna. That is in terms of purification. See, in Varnashrama, generally there is also gradation of purification. Like the Shudras, they are in the mode of ignorance only. Vaishyas, they are both in mode of ignorance and passion. And they are, and yeah, uh, the Kshatriyas, they are in mode of passion and goodness, and Brahmanas, they are fully in goodness. So that word Kala Shudra Sambhava, so that actually means there is the samskaras are not being done in Kali Yuga. It's not that everyone by Varana is a Shudra. Now, if everyone is a Shudra, how can somebody become a politician and able to manage resources? Somebody is able to establish a company and earn a lot of money, and they're doing so. You cannot say that no, everyone is a Shudra. So that is not there. So so that is, and another thing is that Kalau Shudra Sambhava, there is like our devotee scholars have researched, especially Hari Parshad Prabhu, and he told that there is no direct shloka. No, we could not find a direct reference for that. So Prabhupada must have heard from again somebody, and he must have quoted. So that also we could not trace till now. And there are some similar meaning shlokas in Shastra for that. So, so those shlokas say that the samskaras are not done. So that is the thing. So spiritually, so everyone may be a Shudra, but not like as per their psychophysical nature, everyone is a Shudra. Okay. Yes, Yashas, bro, we have some
Uh,
question.
yes, Priya, actually, I have one point.
Mm,
Actually, as you told, the shloka, the Kalo Shuddha Sama, as per I thought whatever I heard in lectures,
mm.
I think this is describe about the Shudra mentality because in the Kali Yuga, most of the people are following just for sense enjoyment and nothing
Yes,
following any
yes, yes.
Shastra.
Yes, yes. So that shloka means everyone is spiritually a Shudra, but not psychophysically.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can say materially. So that is the thing. Yeah. So that needs some identification. Yes, in Kali Yuga, the Varnas are a bit mixed and all, but if someone analyzes astrologically, everyone has, they have different abilities and all, so that can be done. That needs little more observation and all. Like Urmila Mataji also has written a book, Career Dharma. So there are things like that. Okay. And they have different things like Vaishyas. They are allowed to be a little dishonest to make some profit and all. They have to lie. So it's not like they're fully prohibited from that. But Brahmanas, they cannot. So the rules and prescriptions are also little different. Also, Kshatriyas may use some tactics in fighting, so that is allowed. So there is Brihaspati Niti, Shukra Niti, like that. But Brahmanas, they have to be always truthful, they should not cheat and all. So there are different levels of restrictions also. Okay. Yes, Pro, you can continue. Duties on the spiritual platform.
Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the moods of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahman who is in the mood of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is the mood of passion is always be violent.
Is
As
allowed to be
such,
violent.
allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate Brahman, which follow the principle of non-violence.
Yeah. So
Everyone, yeah,
just a minute. So if let's say a devotee is there, or let's say Kshatriya is there, he becomes a devotee. So then he realizes, no, I'm hurting people, so I don't want to be a Kshatriya. No. So you do it, but do it in a little more proper way. Don't, so you can try to minimize that effect of violence and all. But one should do that. So that way. Sometimes somebody have to manage. Some manage means somebody has to correct others and all. So instead of avoiding it, learn how to correct in a sensitive way, how to communicate in a proactively communicate so that that situation does not come. So like that. Yeah. Yes, can read. Everyone has to cleanse his heart.
everyone has to cleanse his heart by the gradual process, not
Abruptly.
abruptly. However, when one transcend the moods of material nature, is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of bona fide spiritual master.
Yeah, so this is a very advanced stage of surrender to Krishna, where those needs only will not be there. Like the need for somebody is a Brahmana and he can perform some other acts and he will not have any dissatisfaction of not studying scripture and all. This is very advanced stage where one has freed from the influence of modes of material nature, something at asakti or somewhere. So yes, bro, Yashras, bro, some question.
Prabhuji, yes, actually, it's a very general question. Can a person, for example, a person can change his varna or ashram, maybe, or especially in varna, because as we heard in the Ramayana, why Vishwamitra in his previous stage he was a Kshatriya, and after some conflict with the Vashishta, he tried to become Brahmana, and he do so many years, and he later on he became Brahmin. And there is one other example: the Parshuram is born in the Brahmin family, but still he occupied the we can say the Kshatriya dharma. So is it allowed in the Shastras?
See, it is not generally allowed.
Okay.
So they have done for that. Prabhupada is going to clarify in this purport only. So for some higher cause, one may do that, but they are exceptions. They should not become examples. They are exceptional situations. So that is not the general trend. Even for a devotee also, it is recommended they follow their varnashrama. And when they become really advanced, then they can take more do sadhana and all. But as long as they do services also, they can preferably do services as per their varna. That's not, it's like exception times and during the creation phases and all, when there is need and all. But when there is a good amount of devotees and there is good organization in terms of services and all, one can preferably do service as per their nature. But sometimes when there is a need, they can do some other service also. Yes, you can. Well, yeah,
Yeah, in that
last
please.
paragraph.
Yeah. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahman or a Brahman may act as a Kshatriya in the transcendental stage. Okay. The distinction of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahman, whereas Parshuram was a Brahman, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya, being a transcendently situated, they could not do so. But as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the exception. So even as a devotee, or one should preferably understand his varna and do services also, and as long as in the material world also, preferably one can engage as per his varna, so that will be good. That will be a more stable life, but again one has to see time place circumstance. If one is very much settled in the job and all, and it's little difficult to change and all. But yeah, there are duties. At least one should try his varna as a hobby, or if possible, that kind of services one can take up in Krishna consciousness. So like that. So that will also give some sense of fulfillment and satisfaction and help in more stable Krishna consciousness. Okay. So now Arjuna will ask the question that why there are failures, means we are doing prescribed duties which involve engagement of senses with sense objects. So what is causing that senses to get madly attracted to sense objects? So that is Arjuna's question, and Krishna will give the solution and discuss in detail that. Arjuna Vacha
Arjun Vacha,
अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुष
अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पुरुषः
अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलाद् इव नियोजित.
अनिच्छमपि वाष्णेय बलाद् इव नियोजितः.
So the translation, Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts when unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So anichanapi, one is unwilling. Like, see, this is being discussed more in the context of a spiritual practitioners. In this context, karma yogis, but yeah, Prabhupada also explains in terms of devotees. Anichanapi, because its spiritualist is unwilling to do that. He knows that material engagement is wrong, but still he will be forced. Baladiva, very forcefully, Arjuna. So Arjuna is saying, is it Lord is keeping that, or the previous impressions of Jiva? So our Acharya say, yeah, definitely it cannot be the Lord who does it, because Lord Lord is merciful and he's detached from that. So Lord doesn't do. But it cannot be just that impressions, means there is something else which is doing this. So that Krishna will do that. Yes, bro, you can read the purport.
Yeah. A living entity, as part and parcel of the Supreme, is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all material contamination. Therefore, by nature, he is not subject to the sin of material world. But when he is in the contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation, and sometimes even against his will. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very
Sanguine.
sanguine. As to the perverted nature of living entities, although the living entity sometimes does not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act sinful action or not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but are due to the another cause, as the Lord explained in the next verse.
So there can be two causes. Is it the super soul inspires the living entity to act in that way? But that is not, because generally super soul does not interfere with the free will of the living entity. So if the living entity deserves something, he awards. Otherwise, he doesn't award. And if the living entity does something wrong, he he actually arranges for the reaction for that wrong thing. But he does not interfere with the free will of the living entity. So then what is causing that to do that? So that Krishna is in the next verse. He says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagwan Vacha
Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhava
Kamaesha Krodhaesha Rajo Guna Samudbhavah
Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam.
Mahashano Mahapapma Vidde Iham Varinam.
So the answer is lust. Krishna explains it further. So the translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Esha, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, Rajoguna Samudbhava, and later transformed into Vrat, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. Mahashana means it's all devouring, consumes the entire consciousness. If somebody, that's what lust means, it one will forget everything. That in the Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsa verse also we saw. So one will entirely lose his focus and becomes materialistic because of that. Mahapapma, and one will commit many mistakes. He will become sinful, etc. If you say Kaikai, uh, so before the at the before that coronation ceremony was announced and all, she was so she was so loving to Lord Ram and all, and she was in one sense more affectionate than Kaushalya also and all. But when that coronation ceremony was announced, and then Mantra comes and spoils her ears and all, then she altogether becomes a different person only. Like overnight, she becomes like the number one enemy of Lord Ram. And then she was all her whole intelligence is focused in planning and know how to make Dashratha agree for those booms and all that, and how to ensure that Lord Ram also agrees. And so her whole consciousness, anxiety is all totally diametrically opposite. So, so that is that is the effect of lust. And she was even ready to upset everyone. Whole Ayodhya population, people were against her, but she had that determination. Just in few hours of talking with Mandara, all these things happened. Yes, Prabhu, read the purport.
When a living entity comes in contact with material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust. In association with the mode of passion, or in another word, sense of love of God becomes transformed into into lust, as milk in contact with salt, tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into worth. Worth is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues to material existence. Therefore, lust is greatest enemy of living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in material world. Worth is the manifestation of mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as
Brat and
worth and
corollaries.
another co- colo- co-
Corollary.
corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated into the mode of goodness by prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of worth by spiritual attachment.
Brad, yeah, okay. So Prabhupada is saying that six vices or six anarthas. So lust is the first one. If lust is not satisfied, it becomes anger. So the corollaries are the remaining five anarthas. So first is anger. If the lust is satisfied, then one becomes more and more lusty. So that is greed. Then there is pride. So by one's achievement of lust and all, one wants to show it off to others. And envy is one wants to secure that his enjoyment will not get affected. So one wants to put down others. So that is envy. And illusion, one will think that this material enjoyment is everything. So that is illusion. So that is how the corollaries come are born from the lust. And the source of lust is uh, the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. So this thing you will study in the 14th chapter. Yeah, you can read, continue. The Supreme Personality.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead expanded himself into many for his ever increasing spiritual blisses, and the living entities are part and parcel of this spiritual bliss. They also have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. This material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned soul to fulfill these lustful propensities, and when completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entities being to inquire about their real position.
Yeah. So those who are fortunate ones, so the whole material world is designed so that the living entity can fulfill his lust. But when one comes in, fortunate to come in contact with the knowledge, with the scriptural knowledge and spiritualists or devotees, then one will realize that fulfilling the lust it does not make one happy, and that is the thing. So Prabhupada talks about how Krishna consciousness can solve the lust. Then Krishna explains there are different intensities of lust. Dhumena vriyate vahnir yata darsho malena cha
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर् यथा दर्शो मलेन च
yata ulbhena avruto garbhas tata tenedamavrutam.
यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेन दममव्रत.
As fire is covered by smoke, so Krishna gives three examples. As fire is covered by smoke, and as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb. The living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Yes, you can read the purpose.
Yeah. These all three degrees of covering of the living entity by which his pure consciousness is obscured, this covering is but lust under the different manifestation like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that fire of the living spark can be little
Perceived.
perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to the fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary where there is a smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to the cleaning process of mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy name of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating the helpless position for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of the trees. Yeah, the trees are also living entities, but they have been put in the such condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void to all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the bird and the beast, and the smoke covered fire is compared to the human being in the form of human being. The living entity may be revived a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blast Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivating the Krishna consciousness under able guidance.
Yeah. So only the human form of life, I think we studied here or Upanishad, we studied how only the human form there is that intelligence given to understand scripture and to understand what is the goal of life and how to get out of this material world. So that is only possible in the human form of life. So that's why Prabhupada is comparing the fire and smoke. So that example to human form of life. But the birds and the some yeah, and the trees, so they don't have much consciousness. The birds have some consciousness, but the trees don't have that consciousness. So that levels of consciousness are also there, no? Mukulit, then Vikasit, Purna Vikasit. So that Sankuchit, Mukulit, those levels are also there. So the trees, they don't have much consciousness. Even if you cut and all, they don't have that ability to respond and even feel pain. But if you see animals, they have that. They run away if there is some threat and all. But trees have very less of that sort. But they also have something little bit. So because that is like Prabhupada explained somewhere that somebody who wants to be naked and all, they will be given those birth of the bodies of trees, etc. That's a very low form of consciousness in that way also. So this, like in some other lectures you might have found, Rajan Pro explains it in that way. So in smoke, there is form is disturbed, but function is intact. The function of the fire means the fire is able to do its function, but the form is not very intact. But and so therefore the function is not that much efficient. So in the dusty mirror, the form is disturbed and function is also not present. Both are not present. And in the embryo, the form is not visible and function is also not visible. So all these. So this shows like how lust is even like, no, it can cover Jnanavan api. So first for this, we'll see one example. Not so latest, but yes, somewhat latest.
Now, have you ever revealed information or done something unwise for a person who enticed you? If yes, then you've probably been honey-trapped. Maharashtra's anti-terrorism squad has arrested a DRDO senior scientist. His crime? Sharing classified information with a Pakistani agent who enticed him. Now, Senior Defense Research and Development Organization scientist Pradeep Kuralkar faces the full force of the law for espionage under the Official Secrets Act. You may ask, why did the 59-year-old senior scientist commit such a crime? Because he was attracted to the Pakistani agent. Kuralkar was enamored. The scientist was honey-trapped. The Pakistani operative posed as a software engineer named Zara Dasgupta. She allegedly sent Kuralkar several obscene messages and made voice and video calls. He was allegedly in constant touch with the Pakistan agent through WhatsApp and shared sensitive information. Maharashtra's ATS has filed an exhaustive near 2,000-page-long charge sheet in the matter. It alleges that Zara wanted to extract confidential information about various DRDO and defense, and he allegedly misused his position to share confidential information. WhatsApp chats have been recovered. They detail conversations over Indian defense projects. Between October the 19th to the 28th of 2022, Kuralkar and the agent discussed the BrahMos missile project. Karulkar wanted to share the missile designs with the Pakistani operative upon meeting her personally. He was well aware of the crime he was committing. The duo spoke about surface-to-air missiles, unmanned combat air vehicles and drone projects. Information on DRDO's duty chart, Meteor missile, Rafale, Akash and Astra missile was also allegedly shared. Karulkar was serving as the head of the DRDO's research and development establishment, engineers, when he was arrested in May by the anti-terrorist squad. He still remains behind bars. Meanwhile, the Pakistani agent is nowhere to be found. A textbook case of honey trapping. The art of seducing an unsuspecting target for intelligence is as old as espionage itself. A honey trap refers to a situation where an intelligence agent or a spy traps a target by seducing or getting him involved sexually. They use the relationship as leverage to get the job done.
He's also known to be part of RSS also. So the thing is, his wife left early and he was alone. He was feeling lonely and all. So he became victim of that. So someone who has become a scientist means he had to have some sense control, some goodness and all. But still, because the power of lust is high, so he got degraded. So it can happen even to devotees. Somebody may become lusty to enjoy wealth, to get more and more, earn more and more money and all. So one may neglect chanting or quality morning program, quality sadhana, association of devotees. So it can happen. So it starts with internal distraction, then internally first that effect will happen, and then it manifests externally. So one will be more or less and less visible in satsang, in services, all that happens. So Krishna is telling how dangerous is this. Avritam jnanam etena jnanino nitya vairina.
Avratam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina.
Kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena analena cha.
Kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nilena cha.
So it is a nitya vairina. It is a eternal enemy of even the person who has knowledge. So even if somebody has spiritual knowledge also, the lust is the constant enemy. It is constant danger for them. The transition. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness become covered by this eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. Yes, you can read the purport.
Yeah. It is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by the constant supply of fuel. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maithunagraha, the cycle of sex life. In the ordinary prison house, criminals are kept within the bars. Similarly, the criminals who are disobedient to the laws of Lord are shackled by the sex life. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of the living entity. Therefore, this lust is symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is ultimate enemy of sense enjoyer.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is saying, so one thing is there is some happiness, but the happiness is too limited and there is lot of imagination. And Prabhupada is also making this important statement: advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. Earlier, at least, there is some understanding that sense gratification is going to be temporary and all. But now, there is so much, the whole education is centered on convincing a person that sense gratification is the only valuable thing, and one should work with all one's endeavor for that. And all the consumerism, even advertisements to children also, there is always this mixing of opposite, means attraction to opposite sex. These things are used even for teenagers and all, not just youth and adults. So that way the whole and the whole movie industry, all the entertainment industry, all things are full of this. So which Prabhupada is saying, so one is increasing the one's entanglement. In the Vedic culture, at least there is that understanding that this is temporary. So at least they are honest. Who are engaging in sense gratification, they have that honesty. But now people think that spirituality is a distraction for enjoying life, etc. So this in devotees also, in this offering, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj explains it very nicely. So, yes, bro, you can read this.
Yeah.
Here you can read.
Tomorrow or today?
Yeah, should I zoom it?
Yes, please. Yeah. By Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Today is the last day of my life. Tomorrow I must meet Srila Prabhupada. What will I say to him? What will he say to me? I will say to Srila Prabhupada, I am a Ghansham Das, the one who distributed your set of books to the academic communities. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I will say, I have never broken any of regulative principles, and I have faithfully chanted our 16 rounds every single day since I joined the movement, never once missing. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but you have given up sex desire? I'll say, I have maintained a program of fasting all day on every Ekadashi, especially from liquid and all food for most of my life as a devotee. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I'll say, I, yeah, I'll say, I have for most of my devotional life maintained sleeping less and then 6 hours each day. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, but have you given up sex desire for me? I'll say, Srila Prabhupada, I'll say, Srila Prabhupada, I have faithfully read all your books and I'm trying now to distribute them in many countries where there is neither paper nor printing press available. Srila Prabhupada will say, very nice, my son, but have you given up sex desire? I'll say, I preserve as your GBC man. Oh, sorry, I preserve as your GBC member responsible for large number of countries in the world. That means 50, which happens to be the poorest in the world. Prabhupada will say, very nice, but how about the sex desire? I'll speak about my cultivating a few heads of state and few diplomats. Srila Prabhupada will say, are you now free of sex desire? I give Srila Prabhupada a report of temple construction, farm projects in a few different countries. Prabhupada will say, this is very good, but how about the sex desire? I'll give a report on the number of temple I have opened and number of devotees and new disciples I have made. Then I'll notice Srila Prabhupada voice becoming even more penetrating as he chastised me, just as he did the last time I was with him before he left the planet. This is all by Krishna's mercy, not ours. It is today that his chastisement has full meaning for me. You will telling me, Srila Prabhupada, then and even more so now, that I must give this sex desire, subtle and gross. We must first of all realize that one achievement we have accomplished internally, externally, individually, and collectively are simply by your mercy. Secondly, we are to understand that as long as we still have such de- devastating sex desire, all of our offering to you are time.
Hmm.
Having various degrees of contamination, the disciple can never repay the spiritual master for what he has given. Also, we understand that one must be careful not to think that the Guru needs him or that he is doing something wonderful. Whatever he offers, it is so incomplete if we have not given up sex desire. You, dear Srila Prabhupada, preached up until your last breath, completely selfless for the benefit of your disciples and the world. Now we must also give everything have to you. As today I die and tomorrow I have to meet you. It is today, right now, that I must give you the greatest offering a disciple can give his guru. While I still have a little more time, I must give up all remaining the attachment of sex life, subtle and gross. I can understand that I have nothing really to give you, but if I can become totally free for all sex desire, then I can really become your puppet so that you can do with me as you like. Now I am so much of an imperfect instrument. In these days, our society is having many problems and varieties of understanding. These things are very small in contrast of our real problem, which is sex attachment. The attachment is
Obfuscating our vision.
obfuscating our vision tremendously and making big problems seem small and small problems appear big. While we have debating, the demons are getting more and more possession to attack our movement and global community in general. Most of us will not become really serious until major
Catastrophes.
catastrophes hit us directly in the face. But how can I talk when I now hear you saying to me with deep compassion and with sadness, you cannot come with me, still you have possessing sex desire. As you walk away, my pain is unbearable. As I reflect the pain I have and I am giving you by my imperfect state, my own pain increases that much more. I scream, crying out in anguish, please forgive me, please help me, please don't leave me. Then I remember I still have few hours to surrender everything to you. As today I die, tomorrow I must meet you. Am I insignificant beggar who is quickly running out of time? But by your mercy, I have this last chance to make the greatest offering, to offer you myself in uncontaminated state, free of all sex desire, as so as to be an imperfect instrument of your mission. This composition does not
Yeah, it's done.
really. May I please scroll down? This con
Okay, let me read this composition.
yeah, this composition does not represented a morbid preoccupation with sex, nor is it a way of denouncing the purpose of sex and of ordained in the scripture. Coming from the Vaishnava tradition, Bhakti Swami was supportive of sexual intercourse in marriage for procreation, which he saw as its God's given purpose. The love between a man and a woman can be beautiful thing, he felt, but it must be beyond bodily uh, appetites and have the underlying spiritual foundation. Along this line, he would often encourage married couples to express their love for each other and to have children.
Okay,
But
fine, that's
yeah,
fine. We'll continue. Yeah. So Maharaj is saying that's what there is gross and subtle sex. So subtle sex is about, so basically this lust is one wants to have material and enjoyment for oneself. So that can be through seeking fame in society and all. So it can manifest subtly also. So, So it is an anartha which is there in every sadhaka. So that is, so this awareness will help us to become more humble and more become enthusiastic to practice devotional service with more sincerity. It's not to condemn oneself, but to encourage all. If you see Maharaj's offering also, it encourage in the last, he was also very positive that still Prabhupada gave me that opportunity to purify myself. So it is not to condemn myself. Now Krishna is coming to the solution. Now Krishna will tell where all the lust is there in the living entity. Indriyani manobuddhir asya dishtanam uchyate.
इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिर् अस्याधिष्ठान उच्यते
एते विमोहयति एषा ज्ञानम् आवृत्य देहिनम्.
एतरा विमोहत एष ज्ञाननां वृत्तदेहिनम्.
So the senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. We have less time, so I will read. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. So Krishna is telling where all lust can be there so that one can detect how much lust one has, what type of lust one has, and one can take accordingly work on the solution. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridatuke swadikkalatradishu bhaum ijjadi yattirda buddhi salile na karvijit dhyaneshu abhigneshu sa eva gokarma. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is considered to be like an ass or a cow. So, so the senses are generally attracted to sense objects. So if let's say somebody sees a sweet, so the senses get attracted. The tongue gets attracted to that sense object, which is a food, delicious food. So then the mind understands that there is some delicious food. So the mind feels, no, yeah, if I enjoy the delicious food, I can be happy. So then the mind tries to convince the intelligence. Then if the intelligence becomes dragged by the mind, then the intelligence also gets convinced. Yeah, there is happiness. I can enjoy happiness if I eat that delicious food. So then the intelligence plans that no, this is the how to enjoy the delicious. So how to acquire that food, how to acquire that delicious food. So then the intelligence activates the hands, legs to walk towards the delicious food, and that way. So that way the soul gets degraded in that way. Yeah. So lust is there in form of mind. In form of mind, mind stores in form of previous experiences and emotions for sense objects and the desires to enjoy sense objects. So these things are there. And in senses, the senses, they are accustomed to uh, interacting with the sense objects. So like so the so uh, a materialist, their culture is no, they are uh, attracted to opposite sex or sense gratificatory thing like breaking four regulative principles because the culture is like that. But for a devotee child, they may not be, because that culture, that impressions are not there, the senses may not immediately go towards that. And intelligence, there are plans and conceptions, all that. So the knowledge, like intelligence has this knowledge, that they hear from advertisements, and also that knowledge is stored in the intelligence. And the plans, like how to enjoy, those things are also there. Like how to acquire the best tasting food, what is the best tasting food, all that things. All these things are there. So how to earn the wealth very easily, and what all we can do, so all those things are stored in intelligence. Maybe we'll not do this exercise. Okay, so now Krishna is giving one first solution. Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshava
तस्मात् त्वमिन्द्रिया आदौ नियम्य भरतर्षभ
papmanam prajahihenam jnana vijnana nashanam.
पापनं प्रजहिहेन्यं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम्.
So the desire to enjoy is there. So one should act on that, but with regulation. So that is the first step. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So it destroys the theoretical knowledge as well as the realized knowledge. It can destroy. So we know the examples of Vishwamitra and on. The Lord advised Arjuna to regulate the senses from the very beginning so that he could curb the greatest sinful enemy, lust, which destroys the urge for self-realization and specific knowledge of the self. Jnana refers to knowledge of self as distinguished from non-self, or in other words, knowledge that the spirit soul is not the body. Vijnana refers to the specific knowledge of the spirit soul's constitutional position and his relationship to the Supreme Soul. Yeah. So, yeah, Jnana Vijnana can also refer this. Jnana is Atma Jnana and Vijnana is the knowledge of the Bhagavan. So both can get covered over. So one will understand that, no, I am the body, and he will identify with the relationships with the body. So that knowledge will go to the background because of lust. Lust is only like if you see Yamunacharya, when he was a child, like he was very devotional and all, but when he became king, so that whole knowledge went into background. When Bharat Maharaj example also we can see. So lust is the only perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. It is difficult, but not impossible. Nonetheless, a Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. So, from any stage of life or from the time of understanding its urgency, so one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, we cannot deprive the senses immediately, but we should regulate the senses and turn the lust into love. So then, yeah, now Krishna will give again one more concept, and based on that, he gives the second solution. Indriyani paranya hur indriyebhya paramana
इन्द्रियाणि परा आहुर इन्द्रियेभ्यः परं मनः
manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu sa.
मनस्सस्तु परां यो यो बुद्धे परस्तु सः.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So the Atma is the superior. And subordinate to Atma is intelligence. And okay, maybe senses are the most inferior. And senses are controlled by the sense objects. So that way sense objects are more superior to senses. But mind is superior even to the sense objects. Because through mind one can control, one can reject some sense object and all. So like I don't like this. So it is superior. And intelligence is more superior to mind. Intelligence can evaluate the mind, the feelings of the mind, etc. And Atma is more superior even to intelligence. The senses are different outlets for the activities of lust. Lust is reserved within the body, but it is given vent through the senses. Therefore, the senses are superior to the body as a whole. These outlets are not in use when there is superior consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, okay. In Krishna consciousness, the soul makes direct connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the hierarchy of bodily functions as described here ultimately ends in the Supreme Soul. So, bodily action means the function of the senses, and stopping the senses means stopping all bodily actions. But since the mind is active, then even though the body may be silent and rest, the mind will act as it does too during dreaming. So, even if one stops lusty activities with externally, but still the mind has lust. But above the mind is the determination of the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul proper. If therefore the soul is directly engaged with the Supreme, naturally all other subordinates, namely the intelligence, mind, and senses, will be automatically engaged. Yeah, so the engagement at spiritual level can help. That is the second solution. Because the soul is superior to all these places of lust, intelligence, mind, and senses. In the Katha Upanishad, there is a similar passage in which it is said that the objects of sense gratification are superior to the senses, and mind is superior to the sense objects. If therefore the mind is directly engaged in the service of the Lord constantly, then there is no chance that the senses will become engaged in other ways. This mental attitude has already been explained. Param drishtva nivartate. If the mind is engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no chance of it being engaged in the lower propensities. In the Katha Upanishad, the soul has been described as Mahan, the great. Therefore, the soul is above all, namely the sense objects, the senses, mind, and the intelligence. Therefore, directly understanding the constitutional position of soul is the solution of the whole problem. Yeah, regulation may help to some extent, but this solution is also important. With intelligence, one has to seek out the constitutional position of the soul and then engage the mind always in Krishna consciousness. That solves the whole problem. Like even the outside people also, they talk about regulating the use of internet through parental controls and all these things they also talk. Means the first solution they also talk, but again not on a shastric basis, but they also talk at the goodness level and all. But this solution of spiritual purification, they don't talk, they don't know. With intelligence, one has to seek out the constitutional position of the soul and then engage the mind always in Krishna consciousness. That solves the whole problem. A neophyte spiritualist is generally advised to keep aloof from the object of the senses. But aside from that, one has to strengthen the mind by use of intelligence. If by intelligence one engages one's mind in Krishna consciousness by complete surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then automatically the mind becomes stronger. And even though the senses are very strong like serpents, they'll be no more effective than serpents with broken fangs. But even though the soul is the master of intelligence and mind and the senses also, still unless it is strengthened by association with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down to the agitated mind. Yeah, so if by purification of Atma, if one can use intelligence, one can purify intelligence first, and with the strength of intelligence, one can engage both mind and senses in spiritual practices. So then one can be slowly get purified from the lust. So that only Krishna some will give in the last verse. Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana
एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा सं संस्तभ्यात्मानमात्मना
jahishatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam.
जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो कामरूपं दुरासदम्
Evam buddhe, by the help of, okay, let me see. Thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should study the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. So here, Atmana, by intelligence, Atmanam, of the so Atma. And thus by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Okay. So Prabhupada writes, this third chapter of Bhagavad Gita is conclusively directed to Krishna consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without considering impersonal voidness the ultimate end. In the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities of lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature. Desire for overloading and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul, but by the strength of Krishna consciousness. So basically, engagement in spiritual things. So first solution is regulating the activities of sense gratification based on Shastra, and second is spiritual engagement. So Prabhupada is explaining from a devotional perspective. One can control the material senses, the mind, and the intelligence. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness. By spiritual engagement, the consciousness will get slowly purified. One can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind. By study intelligence directed towards one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence. Yeah, only the first solution is not sufficient, but the first solution and second solution, both are important. Yeah. So we can do some group activity. So we'll have three groups. For the first theme, the theme for group one is attraction for opposite sex. The theme for group two is wealth and luxurious lifestyle, assets like that. And for group three, social prestige and fame. So these are three types of lust. The first two may be gross, and third is more subtle. So for each of these themes, these following aspects have to be discussed. How the theme under discussion entangles a devotee and is detrimental for Krishna consciousness. So how the attraction for opposite sex, wealth, how it can distract. There are descriptions in Shastras, there are examples and all, so that you can do. You can discuss, and examples from Shastra also you can discuss. So then what are the symptoms at level of intelligence, emotions, and actions? So now when this type of lust is there, what are its symptoms at level of intelligence, emotions, and actions? So what kind of desires come up? Means what is the language of the mind? What goes on in the mind, and how intelligence acts? Like what type of plans, what type of content one accesses, what type of association one tries to get attracted. All these things we can discuss. Then what is the solution in terms of regulation and spiritual engagement for that particular type of lust, not some general things. So if we take, let's say, example of eating opulent food. So how this theme can distract a devotee, so can entangle a devotee. So that thing is explained in the annoy, like the tongue, if the tongue is agitated, it agitates stomach, and the stomach agitates genitals. So in that way, one will be even in our Mahaprasad prayers also it is there, how the tongue is a very powerful sense. It's like a rudder, and and it can distract a person and get into materialistic life. So in that way, it is one becomes a at, distracted from Krishna consciousness. So give examples from Shastra. We can give example of Kumbhakarna and like that examples. What are the symptoms at level of intelligence, emotions, and actions? So actions is one will always be searching for more and more tasty prasad or something. And emotions, one will always have desires, more and more desires to taste different varieties of prasad, and varieties of prasad available at different places, and all those things it will be there. And will always be whenever there is a festival, one will always be eager to know okay, what is the menu in the feast. Like that, one will always, the focus will be there. Like in morning program also, one will think about okay, what I will have in breakfast, like that. And intelligence also, so one will plan, okay, next weekend I will take this prasad at this place, like that. One will think all those things. And one may search even in they may search the recipes, what all recipes are available, all that. So that is how intelligence is that. And yeah, in terms of regulation, So regulation, yeah, one can have some regulation like, okay, I'll take sweet, but yeah, only on the weekends. And one can understand also if one overeats, one will become lazy. That is not even good materially also, and not spiritually. So the so there are enough knowledge like if there is more fat, it may cause heart disease, many other problems with the body, and it will make body slow, etc. So therefore regulation is needed, and spiritual engagement. So it may be possible that one who is attracted to prasad, he knows also cooking. So one can take up service of cooking. One can serve devotees prasad along with that, and one can also sponsor. He may take prasad, but he can also try to share with others that prasad, so that slowly that gets dovetailed, and he will also get, he will get blessings of devotees and all. And one can, so in that way, and one can also see, one can also do sadhana and all. So that way it will help. Okay, so this is an example. So, bro, that breakout rooms are ready.
Yes, Prabhu, it's ready, just that it's not evenly distributed because of the attendance today. So we have three devotees in Jagannath group, which is the first,
Okay.
four in four in the second, and wait, I think I need to assign more. Yeah, I think six in the second group,
Okay.
and we have five in the last group.
Okay.
Five, six, and three.
Okay. Okay. So Avtari Chetan Prabhu is not there, huh?
Not there today, yeah. So we have just
Okay.
five there.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
Subhadra,
So for first group, Yashraj Prabhu there can be there for leader, and second you can be there, and third Sundari Subhadra Mataji can be leader. So leader, so you can ensure, so their responsibility is to ensure that there is discussion on these topics, on these aspects, uh, one by one, and everyone contributes. You can note down all the points and you can present at the last. Okay. Yeah, so you can, I hope it is clear now. So only the leader has to summarize all the points, not others. Others need not speak, only the leaders can speak. Okay, so you can start. You can take 15 minutes and then we will hear each group can present. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, we needed 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Rukmini Vallabh Prabhu.
Yeah, you can take if you want. But we'll take the presentation of the first group, then you can discuss. Then you can prepare your presentation if you want.
I actually wanted to discuss the last question.
Oh,
We
really?
thought we had 1 more minute. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, okay, then if you want, you can only create a breakout room for yourself and discuss.
Okay. Can
Other
I?
groups are ready, no?
Other groups are ready or they want 2 minutes?
Yashras Pro, you're ready, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, then Subhadra Mataji, you are ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, Shrikant Bro, then if you want, we can wait. If you want, you can discuss the last one.
If I
So,
just open all rooms, I'd have to then
acha,
remove.
to click open all rooms. Okay, do whatever you want. We can take 2 more minutes if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji, can I?
Mataji, the second group wants 2 more minutes, so we will wait.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yashras Pro, you're there? I think,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Shrikant Pro, you're done now?
Yes, bro. I think I closed all the breakout rooms, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
said
Yes, Yashras Pro, so you can now start presenting your discussion.
Yeah. So our group is attraction for opposite sex. Okay. So first of all, so what are the themes? So so in which we are entangled with this situation. So first one is billboard, like for Mataji's billboard or Prabhuji's billboard, like where they're exposing their body and all this thing.
Mm.
Advertisement, we can say, where they are objectify the opposite sex or gender.
Mm.
And the movies where it is promoted that okay, so this is the mixing culture and all this thing and love stories and this all this nonsense things where they're okay, it's a cool culture and all this and what is the determinate okay determinatal for Krishna consciousness, because if person is fully engaged with in these things, so he cannot concentrate his sadhana, and he always think about the opposite sex and all these things and how to meet with her or him, or how can we approach him or her. So he's totally focused on the opposite sex, not on the Krishna. So it can affect. And for examples, we have two examples. First is the Bilva Mangal Thakur. So first he tried to go to Vrindavan, but at that time he saw one lady, a Brahmin lady. So he again entangled with that lady's beauty. So, and the second example is Ajamil. So first he is very qualified Brahmin scholar, but he saw a prostitute to engage one man. So as he saw, so he get attracted that prostitute, and he became a very sinful person.
Okay, yeah.
And the third answer is what is a symptom at the level of intelligence. So first of all, if person is attracted to the opposite sex, so first of all he always contemplate about the woman and man about the woman and woman about the man. So how can he approach, how can he meet, and all these things. And for the emotion level, it is always seems that if person is become attracted by the opposite, he always abandoned himself, he never talked to himself. Even some people committed suicide in the love failure. So it is generally we can saw even people are very emotionally weak, they get emotionally weak, they start in actually the next point is the action, they start consuming liquor, they go those places where they can find the opposite sex like garbas and pubs and clubs and some family relatives parties, so they can
Yeah.
hook up with some other sex or the gender. So these doing this kind of activities, even some people are doing for the going for the prostitution and all these things. So
Pornography.
these things happen in their actions. And what can we do for the regulation and spiritual engagement? So first we have to avoid the association of those people who are engaged in this kind of things. As the Shastra says, first we have to, it is not the lust is the lusty people is more danger than the lust. First we have to give up all this kind of association. Second thing, in if we are in the office and we have we have to deal with opposite sex, so we have to be very careful. We just only deal only just we have to talk only just for official works, and we cannot for going for okay, where are you living and what is your plan for the weekend and all these stuffs. And what we do for the spiritual engagement, we can whatever we like in the core spiritual activities, like kirtan, hearing lecture, reading bhagavatam. So we have to engage ourselves in these activities because we have to busy our mind. And if we have so much problem in this case, so we can discuss with our senior who are experienced in this, so they have better solution. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Thank you. Yeah, regulation means the Vedic solution is to get married and take responsibility. So that is one regulation. And yeah,
Yes.
there are some other ways like some getting more engaged in physical things and physical services, or in fitness, or some physical related hobbies also can reduce the sex drive, etc. Those things are also there.
Yeah, Prabhuji, the one more point is we have to understand the principle of Bhagavad Gita that we are not that body.
Yeah.
So it is also very beneficial.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yes, yes. Very nice points. Brief. Others also can present briefly. Okay. Yes, Srikanpur can.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice points given for wealth and luxurious lifestyle.
Mm,
First was like theme, how it entangles and detrimental for devotee.
mm,
So starts people say like one thing was that someone first gets that desire for wealth and luxury. How is like by looking at social media, how
mm,
people are presenting their best side, how their house is, how their luxurious lifestyle is.
mm,
The desire awakens, and once that happens, then they get the desire. Then they'll work hard, and they'll do a lot of prayas to achieve that
mm,
state of luxury or wealthy status.
mm,
That is, and then with that, that then they lose track of their Krishna consciousness, running
mm,
after money. They get into that loop because then they become greedy
mm.
for money. And luxury, once enjoyed, it becomes a necessity. So
Okay.
once you enjoy that, then you want to maintain your lifestyle like that.
Mm,
So that way you get into that loop.
yeah.
That also brings, once you have that money or wealth, if you are successful, you get that pride
Mm,
uh, and feeling of security, and then it hampers actually, because you, and once you get into that comfort zone of luxury, that hampers your progress. You don't want to come out of that
yeah.
comfort to do any austerities, and finally, instead of becoming Krishna conscious, we just become earning conscious or money
Oh,
conscious.
okay.
Very nice points given. Second was about the examples from Shastras. Like one was the Nal Kubera and Manigriva being sons of Kubera. They had a lot of wealth and luxury, and that
Mm,
detrimented their lifestyle,
mm,
Krishna consciousness. Indra, in many instances, we saw that to maintain his lifestyle and status, he had to fall down.
okay.
Duryodhana was not even ready to give 5 villages to the Pandavas.
Yeah, nice.
And Sugriva also, when he forgot this promise he had given in this enjoying the wealth and luxury.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Third point was the symptoms at level of intelligence, emotions, and actions.
Mm,
At intelligence, the intelligence continuously plan how we can secure more, procure more money,
mm,
plans to earn more, always think about profit and loss,
mm,
and
mm, yeah.
how he can maintain his luxurious lifestyle. Emotions are many good suggestions or emotions. One is like becoming greedy,
Mm,
becoming very proud,
mm,
having the fear to lose what he has,
okay, yes.
increases his attachment to the material things.
Mm,
Becoming selfish
mm,
was one more thing. And in
mm,
actions, it was mostly that he'll work 24 hours, he'll be hardworking like an ass to achieve all that in the symptoms at action level.
okay.
Last is solution in terms of regulation was
Mm,
we need to balance
mm,
our work and sadhana and such that we work for 8 hours and not like
mm,
16 hours, so
mm,
that it doesn't impact our Krishna conscious life. The sadhana, seva, and all are still in place, and then we can earn as much as we can.
mm,
Also, one more point was that health is always compromised while earning more for wealth and luxury. So, health needs to be maintained,
mm,
regulated. And
mm,
spiritual engagement was whatever money we earn, we have to give in donations. We
mm,
have to use that for maintaining our family, then going for yatras
mm,
and engaging. And then others is whatever luxury we may have, a good house, a good car, then we can keep house programs. We can utilize the car to go to temple or pick up, drop some devotees like that.
okay.
And last point, very nicely mentioned, was about the austere thing, getting inspired from our acharyas like Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami were like finance minister and all, but they were ready to do austerities and they're not
Mm,
attached to that wealth. And so if we can get inspired from,
yeah,
yes, Hare Krishna.
yeah, yeah. Role models. Yeah, that's a nice point. Yes, thank you. Yeah, luxuries become a necessity now. Yes, nice points. Yes, Sundari Subhadra Mataji can present now. She's there.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
So, Prabhuji, here for the first question, like how this theme entangles a devotee and is detrimental for Krishna consciousness. So, first, what happens is the devotee,
Mm,
if he gets some sort of praises, from the senior devotees, even for his menial services,
mm,
that starts feeding his false ego
mm,
or ego. And because of that, the sense of doership comes in him, that
mm,
I am the doer, and because I am doing it,
mm,
that's why the things are going on smoothly.
yeah,
So that sense of doership comes, and thus he opts or urges for more praise. Like he thinks that things are under my control,
mm,
and then this urge of fame increases,
mm,
and ultimately it leads to lust.
okay,
It comes to a level where he cannot live without it. It becomes
mm,
lust, and
mm,
ultimately then at some point of time, if it is not getting fulfilled, or he is not getting that desired fame,
mm,
then it may lead to, again, like as we read the shlokas, it will convert it to wrath, and ultimately it
yeah,
will lead to illusion, and thus ultimately it will lead to the fall down of that sadhaka
yeah,
in devotional life.
yeah. One may want to find it in external circles.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
that is the sense of doership which is important. Like I am highlighting this.
Yeah. Okay.
Then second, from the Shastra, we see two examples. That is Daksha Prajapati.
Okay.
Like he wanted to show his social prestige to an extent that he insulted Shiva.
Mm,
So that is one example, and second example is Indra. Indra,
mm,
at times we have seen that he has insulted many rishis and um, uh, many gods also, for that like his false social prestige. So
okay.
that one example was given. Then in third question, symptoms. So mostly if this kind of thing comes in a devotee, then the first thing they will try to do is they will look for front end services where
Yes.
their services are visible,
Mm,
and the seniors or the temple authorities,
mm,
he will try to be in close vicinity with them,
yeah.
because he's more interested in his own fame rather than
Yeah. Serving
serving Krishna.
others. Yeah.
So that is the first symptom.
Mm,
And second is he's easily attracted to material benefits as well,
mm, okay.
because his senses are not his under his control. It's
Mm,
clearly visible. So he is easily attracted to
mm,
material things also.
mm, mm,
Then in emotions, obviously if the
mm,
sadhaka is deviated from his
mm,
sadhana, then he will get deviated from his sadhana. That is
mm,
the emotional level. He will not be able to
mm,
chant properly. He will not be able to complete his sadhana.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
second, yes, Proji.
Okay. Yeah. Third thing, you're done. I want to add little. Yeah.
Yes.
They'll spend a lot of their energy in promoting themselves also. And
That
you
I
know,
have written in action, Prabhuji.
answer. Yeah. So they will want to promote themselves,
Yes.
and they'll be also attracted to people who has lot of fame and all. They
Yes.
will see a devotee and no measure. If he's famous, then they think they're advanced, or like that also. They will evaluate also. Yes, yes. Okay. For fourth, you can answer.
So in emotions, one is that their own sadhana, they will be distracted from their
Yeah.
own sadhana. And second, emotion will come like they will start pointing at flaws of others or
Okay.
doshas of
Yes,
others,
yes, yes.
because they themselves start feeling that we are perfect.
Okay. Yes.
So this will come out in the
Okay.
form of.
Yes, yes.
And then in actions, first action will be what you mentioned, Prabhuji, that they will try to be in vicinity of the people who are already famous, and
Okay.
then they will appear bossy and dominating.
Okay. Yeah.
And next is they will have difficulty in building rapport with the
Mm.
neophytes, because
Okay.
again the same thing, dosha vritti, they
Mm.
will always find faults in them, so
Yes.
they will not be able to
Yes.
build a rapport with them.
Mm.
And then for the fourth question, that is solution,
Mm.
in terms of regulation and spiritual advancement. So solution is, first one is
Mm.
on their personal level is sadhana. They
Mm.
have to improve it, but they cannot do it alone
Mm.
because they are not aware of it. So
Mm.
for that they have to be, second point is association. So they
Mm.
have to be in
Mm.
proper association.
Mm.
But if the association is again wrong, like if the
Mm.
people guiding them
Mm.
are themselves looking for fame, they will not be
Mm.
recovered. So the important point is that they should be in association with people who are able to make them identify, and they themselves should be in a position to accept that we are having this flaw, and then ultimately they can take solution from the seniors, whatever they recommend. What I personally feel is that they should not take any such service which they feel that this is boosting my self prestige. Instead, they should be take a leadership role, and they should distribute those services to the junior devotees or neophytes.
Okay. Yeah.
And one important, most important point that was given was that reading Prabhupada books in its true sense. Because if they have read the books and still they have this ego problem, that means somewhere they are lagging the philosophy. So,
Yeah.
reading Prabhupada books in its true sense in association with senior devotees will definitely help to
Yes, yes,
get
yes.
rid of
Nice,
this.
nice point. Yes.
And one more point in regulation is, Prabhuji, attending house programs. So with that, they will develop the friendly relationships with the devotees, maybe senior or new friends.
Yes, yes,
So
nice.
applying all these, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
recover.
yeah, yeah. Nice points. Yeah. Otherwise, if otherwise they may find points to share and show off their knowledge. And so
Yes.
yeah, we should hear from senior devotees, reading Shastra also. And also, it's not like they should avoid those services. They can also do some limelight services, but they should develop the culture of giving credit to others, and they should balance it with doing some background services and others, so that they will also get purified and all. Yes. Okay. So okay, thank you. Very nice points. Sorry it became a little late, but thank you for your patience. Srila
Thank you so much,
Prabhupada
Prabhu.
ki jai, Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. Okay.
thank you,
Bye.
Prabhu.
Welcome.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Great.